come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following ways. Notice published in the Courier News, notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, notice made available to the township clerk, notice sent to the Courier News and the Star Ledger. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Weissman,
Here.
Mr. Tillery,
Here.
Mr. Patel,
Here.
Mr. Reggio, Mr. Blount,
Here.
Mr. Hidaka,
Here.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Here.
Mr. Ali,
Here.
and Chairman Cahill.
Here. Will everyone stand for a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the
The flag of the United States of America and to the
Republic
republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation under God, indivisible, with
Liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Keneally, are there any changes to our agenda this evening?
Yes, there are. There are quite a few changes. The application of Mr. Mazarigas, Stelton Road, is off until January 12th, 2023 with no further notice. The application of NYSMSA Verizon on South Randolph-Vittle Road is off until January 12th, 2023. They will notice. The application of 100 Lakeview Avenue is off until January 26th, 2023 with no further notice by the applicant. The application for Stool, 10 Dunbar Avenue, is off until January 12th, 2023 with no further notice. And finally, the Barber application, 3 Jenny Place, is off until January 12th, 2023 with no further notice. Those are all the changes that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Keneally. Let's proceed to item number 5, 22-ZB86V, Kevin Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, are you present?
Yes,
I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
yes.
Thank you. Your name and address, and explain to the board why you're here, please.
Kevin Wilson, 707 Sunbright Lane, Piscataway. I was doing a covered front porch, but with the zoning setback problems, I'm not doing it anymore. We're just going to do a platform and a set of steps down to the sidewalk and try to retain the back patio cover.
Mr. Wilson, I believe you were working with Henry on some issues. Henry, you have any comments on this?
Yeah, this, as you may recall from the time he came in previously, I don't know how much testimony at that time was given, but the application was for a pretty, rather large covered porch that it protruded into the front yard setback quite substantially, and also with the existing covered rear patio, the impervious coverage, I think, resulted in a total impervious coverage amount of over 25%. And speaking with Mr. Wilson and going over some of the issues with the application and some of the problems that I saw with the coverage and the setback variances, Mr. Wilson offered to revise his application in order to maintain the existing patio cover to the rear of the property and just go with a covered landing in the front with a set of steps relocated to the front. In doing so, his impervious coverage variance will be modified or revised to a 23.5%, and the front yard setback will now be reduced to 33 feet for the landing and 29 feet for the steps. So with those revisions, and he had sent me some sketches of what the revisions would look like, I don't have really any issues with those revisions. I think he did a good job in taking the comments and the discussion that we had and trying to pare down that impervious coverage to a manageable amount. And now the front yard setback, I think, of 33 feet for that covered front porch area, front landing, is acceptable with the 29 feet to the steps. I think he's accomplished a much better plan for the project.
Awesome. Thank you, Henry. Any other members of the board have any questions for Mr. Wilson or any comments? Hearing none, I'm going to open to the public. Anyone in the public have any questions or comments about this application?
Yes, hi. My name is Joanna Drennan. I am a neighbor to the Wilson family. I just
Ms.
like
Ms.
to-
Drennan, I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand?
that I
Swear the
will.
testimony you're about to give should be the truth.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. This family we're very lucky to have them in our neighborhood, number one. They're very efficient about their property as far as maintaining it. Their family is, the children they have are very helpful to the other neighbors, like especially me in my garden, helping me pull weeds. I mean, really, we got a wonderful family here. And it's nice to see that things worked out between Henry and Kevin Wilson. And hopefully this would be a good thing for them to have, what they're asking for.
Thank you, Joanna. We appreciate you making an appearance.
Thank you.
And anyone else in the public have any questions or comments? Buckley? You're muted, sweetie.
I just saw that, sorry. No one's raising their hand.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'm going to close the public portion, and I'll make a point of thanking Mr. Wilson for working with the township to get to this place where we are. And I think it's a good application. I'm glad that Henry is seeing it as well, and I'd make a motion to approve this application.
I'll second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Blount,
Yes.
Mr. Hidaka,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson, your revised application has been approved. We will memorialize it in a written document at our next meeting. You don't need to be present for that. We'll send that document to you.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
Mr.
much.
Wilson. Have a good night.
Thank you.
See you, Joanna.
Okay, bye.
Take care. At this point, we got to skip over a couple of pieces and go over to item number 9, 22-ZB-90V, Michael Kearns.
Mr. Kearns, are you present?
You're muted, Mr. Kearns. Mr. Kearns, you're muted, sir.
You got it.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, Mr. Kearns, I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand?
Aye.
You swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth.
Yes.
Your name and address, please.
Michael Kearns, 191 Denellen Avenue, Piscataway.
Thank you. Could you explain to the board what you'd like to do here?
Well, I have already put a fence up and a shed up over an easement. That was 32 years ago. I just realized now that I'm in violation.
And do you understand that if the township ever needs to access that easement, you would be responsible for removing and replacing the fence and the shed?
Understood.
I don't have any other questions for Mr. Kearns.
Mr. Hinterstein? Henry, you're muted as well.
Yeah, no, Mr. Keneally stole my thunder, and there's no other conditions.
Okay, any other members of the board have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Anyone in the public have any comments or questions for Mr. Kearns or this application? Ms. Buckley?
Sorry, my recording device isn't working. I'm playing around. No one, Chairman.
No one's there. Okay, I'm going to close the public portion and bring it on back and make a motion to approve this application.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Blount,
Yes.
Mr. Hidaka,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Mr. Kearns, your application's been approved. We will memorialize it in a written document at our next meeting. You don't need to be present for that. We'll mail that document to you.
I thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, sir.
Thank you.
Let's keep the party going on to item number 10, 22-ZB-21V, Calvin Sumra.
Is Calvin Sumra present?
You're muted, sir. Thank you,
Present.
Mr. Sumra.
Mr. Sumra, I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth.
Yes.
Thank you. Could you explain to the board what you'd like to do here and how it's different than the last time you were here?
Yes, well, I'm doing a variance for addition for extension of because of the family, which I readjusted drawings less than 3 feet more. less. So, I went back, I submitted, I leave a voicemail for Mr. Henry a few days ago, didn't get a response from him. So, but Laura make me to, want me to come here to see my next options.
Okay, Henry, would you address the current status of this application?
Yeah, Mr. Samra did revise the plans. He submitted the revised plans. The revised plans did pare down the addition slightly. I believe it was, let me just confirm. I believe the addition actually was pared down approximately 2 feet, but again, regardless, it pared it down so that the coverage went from what was being asked to, which, let's see here, was 2 pages of variances, so I apologize. Went from 28.15% in coverage to 26.15%, which was approximately 2% less. And looking at this, it's still a little bit severe. I think my recommendation to Mr. Samra was, I think he just needs to get rid of that, the canopy in the backyard. The shed could stay, the shed has to be limited to the shed. So you can't attach any additional, roofs to the side of it. If you just keep the shed, I think that's acceptable. If you agree to just take out that canopy, and then I think you would also offer to relocate the fences a little bit further back, 8 feet further back, so that there's a little bit more visibility in the front yard, in that front sort of site corridor. I think that this application could be approved by removing that canopy, Mr. Keneally. The coverage variance would be reduced to 24.35%. So from where we started at 28.15 on this, quite substantially undersized
It's a marked
lot.
improvement. Definitely a marked improvement.
Yeah, it would be a big improvement. So as long as the applicant's willing to remove the canopy and just keep the shed to the shed footprint and not attach any extra roofs to it or keep anything outside of it, I think we're in good shape.
And moving the fence.
Correct.
But I
Okay.
moved the fence is already moved already.
Okay, terrific.
Great.
So
Are you
the only thing, my question is, right, I have the 10 by 10 canopy, which is 100 square feet. Summertime, you need to sit down outside. Only my last option is to bring the drawing, do a new drawing, smaller. Instead of 7 feet out, I come to 5 feet, which is going to be less 2 feet width,
Okay.
and or 2 by 44, which is going to bring me close to 100 square feet to accomplish the
Well,
canopy setback.
Is the canopy the canopy is not something that's permanent, correct, out there?
Permanent, it's movable. It's something in the summertime you sit down outside
If
with the
it's
sun or the rain. It's
right,
not
if it's
the house. It's movable. It's 10 by 10. You could take it whatever. It's very light. It's not heavy. I bolted down well. It's not like a temporary. It's not permanent. It's temporary. Just at summertime, you need to hang out outside, like watch the kids play. It's sun or rain. Outside. Have a coffee, which is very nice. So I remove the canopy. Would that be my option? I live in there. I've been there 6 years. And when I bought it, I did a full renovation. So my last option will, if you guys agree, I could bring the drawing a little more smaller, make the extension a little more smaller by, I don't know how much square footage by your calculation.
Yeah, I mean, that's really up to you to make that decision. If you'd like to reduce the addition even further to get your coverage down to that 24.35, so another 100 square feet, that's up to you. Or you could just remove the canopy, and then in the summertime, if you need some, temporary shade, you put up a temporary canopy or something that you could just put up and then take down. But I'll leave that up to you to determine whether you prefer to have, a canopy that's a little bit more permanent. Let me just take a quick peek at this one other item on your drawing here. Yeah, I mean, again, you have the backyard's tight, so the canopy also requires another variance for the rear yard setback for an accessory structure. So it's not a shed, it's a canopy. So It's considered an accessory structure, and I think it's noted in here that you would need a variance for that rear yard setback for an accessory structure. So by removing the canopy, you not only improve the coverage, but you're also eliminating another variance, which I think is something that the board then would look upon, I think, more favorably than you just, reducing the addition and keeping the canopy out there. But I'll let you make that decision. I mean, the variance isn't great, 6 feet versus 8 feet. I think the township could live with that. I think the more important issue is the coverage. So you just need to tell us, which you prefer. But I think that 24.15 number is the number, or 35 number is the number that we would shoot for.
So as of now, how much square footage I need to come down with your calculation? How much square footage?
The canopy is 100, is 10 by 10. It's 100 square feet. So if you leave the canopy, then you need to take another 100 square feet away from somewhere, whether it's a combination of the shed and your addition, just the addition. I'll leave that up to you. What's more important to you?
As of now, I will reduce the drawings to 5 feet, which is going to bring me around a 1992 square or less. I don't know if that's going to be, because if I take out 2 by 44, that's 88 square. If that will be enough.
92 square feet, you said?
Yes, if I took out the 2 feet. I have the drawing already. I made the adjustment with the new drawing just to stand by to submit.
Yeah, the problem is I need a number in order to provide a coverage, what the coverage is going to be. We can't just, create a made up number. So I need to know what the revision is. So if you're telling me you're going down
92, I have 92 square down. I have the new drawing too, standby.
so that's on top of the other reduction you did already.
Yes, I have a standby copy.
Henry, do you want him to submit this to us and we can put this off to a vote at a later point?
Well, give me 3 seconds here. So
Okay.
he's saying 92 square feet.
But he has revised drawings that you haven't received yet, correct?
No, I received one set, so I would imagine he's moving in the entire side of the addition. So the addition is going out. 1.16. Let me just see
It
something
was
quick.
10 feet. Now I bring it to 7 feet, 1 inches.
Right, but your latest plan was how far? The revised plan. That
The
was 10
revised
feet?
7 feet, 1 inches out more. So I take out at least 3 feet. So if I remove the 2 other feet, if that's
No, listen, your addition is at 6 feet 10 inches is the new addition. So the first floor was reduced from 9 something down to 610. Are you saying you're going to go down even further?
yes, I could go down, something further. Yes.
So, but you said it's 92 square feet. What's the width of the addition? Do you know?
So if 5 feet. Right now it's 5 feet, 1 inches out.
Okay. So that's basically 1 foot 9 inch reduction, right? 6'10", 1 foot 9 inch. Yeah. So 1.19 inches, right? So 9 inches is 1.75. 44. Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Yeah, that's only 77 feet. So that's not, again, I think your better solution is, to be honest with you, is the canopy, but you would have to go a little bit further in to get to that 100 square feet. The 1 foot 9 inches by the depth of the property only gives you an additional 77 square feet. And I think the number you need to get to is that 24.35 at a minimum, or at least close to it. So 92 might have been okay, but you're not near 92.
Okay, so I will do the adjustment for the addition, and also I will try to reduce the shed a little smaller, a 10, 50, maybe 20 square less. Because the canopy is like, I'm gonna put it back. Even if I remove it, I'm still gonna have it in the future is because this canopy is temporary. It's not like permanent. Either or, I'm gonna have a canopy because it's it's summertime. You need outside. So if I take it out now, in the summer I will put it back. So that does not even gonna cooperate.
Henry, if it's not considered a permanent structure, could he do that? I mean,
I believe so. Mr. Keneally, what would you consider that canopy to be? It would need a building permit, I think, to be a permanent type structure and some type of anchoring system.
I agree. The permit and the anchoring system would make it permanent.
Yeah, not
If
permanent.
it's intent, doesn't require a building permit.
Yeah. I think it's.
Our ordinance doesn't really regulate them.
Yeah. I don't
But if
think
it gets into what Jim is talking about, one of these mechanical things with a canvas cover, that does need a building permit.
Yeah, I think it's like a little fancier
I
version
think
of the
Sean's
canopy.
comment was more, it seems to be right on point. You're going all around in circles here. I think you
Yeah,
have to sit down and just take an extra month and make sure he gets what he wants and you're satisfied.
I think you're right because there's just too many versions of this floating around at this
that's
point.
correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Summer, I'm going to recommend that we put this off. You come up with some more ideas and get them into Henry, and we'll come to a better place with this application at one of our next meetings. Because right now, with you not wanting to remove that canopy, I don't think that your application would vote favorably tonight.
I could remove it, but then in the summertime I will put it back. So it doesn't really, it's not like it's gonna be permanent removed because summertime you need something. I could take it apart. It take me 10 minutes to take it apart and put it in the ground. Then after the summertime, I'll have to reinstall it off and on. Take it off winter time, put it on summertime. So it's not something, it take me 10 minutes I will take it apart.
Well, I don't have a problem with that because quite honestly, I take my umbrella on my patio down as soon as it comes to October and I put it back up in April. So I understand where you're coming from, but I don't have a 10 by 10 umbrella. I mean, Henry, is that something we could do?
I mean, I think we can make it that there'll be no permanent canopy out there, strictly a, portable
Around
type canopy that needs to
365.
be, that needs to be, removed. It can't be out there permanently.
Okay. Mr. Summer,
Yes.
that's the language of this application is that it cannot be out there permanently. 365 a year cannot be out there.
Okay, so if I remove it, I remove it tomorrow, put it in the ground and then put it back summertime. You think that would be okay?
I don't have a problem with that.
I have a question. If there's an anchoring system already in place, does the anchoring system have to come out?
It depends on what the anchoring system is. If we're just talking about, some stake so it doesn't blow away in a breeze, I think we're fine. As long as it's nothing permanent, footings, something that requires, I think, a building permit, I think we're fine. But, if I go back and I see this canopy and the building department, when they come out, says that that needs a building permit, then it's going to have to be removed.
Mr. Summer, how do you?
That's why I
Yeah.
suggested, I think they should sit down and get a plan and know what this.
Yeah, I'd like to know what anchors and holds this canopy down. The dialogue that we're having here is a tad convoluted. I don't know exactly what we're dealing with. I'm gonna suggest to you, Mr. Summer, what I said earlier, and that is we put this off to another meeting. In the meantime, get in contact with Henry and see if we can't come up with a more viable solution.
Maybe I can meet you.
I think it's in your best interest, to be honest.
Maybe I can meet you at the site, Mr. Samra, and
That'd be perfect.
you could show me the canopy and how you keep it anchored to the ground and.
The mechanism and whatnot. I think that's the better solution.
Yes, I was trying to get you out this week. I leave a voicemail for
Yeah.
you, but I didn't get to return my call. So that was one of my concerns, before I come here because I work second shift. I'm at work right now and I can't keep taking off, so I'm at work right now. So, but
I'm sure you can come to, I'm sure the two of you can come to a date where it's amicable and then we can vote on this application with all the facts in order at the next meeting. So
Sounds good.
Laura, where can we fit him on for the next meeting?
The January 26th.
Can you go there, January 26th? Good, Mr. Summer?
Yes, I
Good.
could do that.
Sounds good.
And I'll
All
send
right.
you the link.
Thank you, Jim.
No problem. Thank you.
And I'll reach out to you, Mr. Summer. We'll try to take a look at that canopy a little bit closer out on the property.
Yes, definitely. You could stop by, we make arrangements. You come by and we could take a look and, give me some idea on your point of
Okay.
view. And we can come up with an idea.
Okay.
So anybody here on the Samra application is being carried to January 26, 2023 with no further notice by the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Summer.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month on the 26th.
Thank
Next.
you.
Next item, 1322-ZB 85, Macedonia Free Will Baptist Church.
Good evening, Diane DeBulis appearing on behalf of the applicant. We are here for final major subdivision approval. We were here previously on 4/22/21 and the board granted the subdivision as well as the preliminary and final site plan. The resolution was memorialized in May, and we are here now for final approval of the major subdivision.
Thank you. Do you have witnesses?
Mr. Trotto is here. We weren't anticipating having any testimony, but if you have any questions, he's certainly capable of answering. The engineer, Tom Trotto, is here.
Any members of the board have any questions about this application? Pretty much all of you were on the panel when this was approved, myself
believe so.
included.
Yes, sir.
Henry, any issues with you? Hen?
I don't believe so. I believe for a final major, I don't think the zoning officer would have put this on the agenda unless all the conditions of the
Yeah, I agree.
resolution of approval were met. So I'm pretty comfortable, I think, stating that I think all the conditions of the resolution have probably been met or bonded for, or whatever is needed in order for this to get onto this agenda. I'm pretty comfortable that the final major can be granted.
Thank you. I agree. Any other members of the board have any questions? Hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Anyone in the public have any questions or comments about this application?
No one, Chairman.
Okay, close the public portion, and I would make a motion to approve the
Final major.
final
subdivision.
major subdivision. Thank you.
Welcome.
Need new glasses.
I'll second.
Who's second? I'm sorry.
Artie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Artie. Please call a roll.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Reggio. Oh, sorry, Mr. Blount,
Yes.
Mr. Hidaka,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
We will memorialize this in a resolution at our next meeting and send it to you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let's go to item number 14, 22-ZB-93V, Infinity Biologics LLC.
Is Mr. Butler present?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, Mr. Butler.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michael Butler. I am the attorney on behalf of the applicant tonight. We're here asking for a D6 use variance for property that's located at 30 Knightsbridge Road it's block 6201, lot 4.02. Just before I begin, I did serve notice and I sent the affidavit of service and publication up to Laura. I just want to make sure that that was all in order and that the board can accept jurisdiction.
I reviewed your notice. It is in order and the board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Perfect, thanks. And then just also before I begin, I think I have 3 memorandums on the application. One was the review memorandum deeming the application complete. That was dated November 18th, 2022. I received a memorandum from Henry dated November 30th, 2022, and a memorandum from Mr. Chadwick dated December 5th, 2022. I don't think that there are any other memorandums except for those three.
I believe that's all of them.
Okay, perfect. All right, so once again, my name is Michael Butler, and we're here tonight on behalf of my client to ask for a D6 use variance. And as the board knows, that is a height variance. This is for a mechanical equipment that's going on top of an existing building at 30 Knightsbridge. It's a very specialized mechanical equipment. It's air venting equipment that's associated with my client's lab use in the property. I have three witnesses tonight. And I forgot, I don't know if I've ever been before this board before. I've been before the planning board. Do you swear all your witnesses in at one time, or do you swear them in as they come up one by one?
We'll go one at a time.
One at a time, perfect. Okay. So my first witness tonight is a representative from the applicant. Her name is Mary Storella. Please ignore, I guess she used my link, and so it looks like she's Michael Butler. There are two Michael Butlers tonight. But my first witness is Mary Storella, and like I said, she's a representative of the applicant, and I just wanted to bring her in tonight to explain who the applicant is and why they're excited to come into Piscataway, and a little bit of background on why we're asking for this relief.
Ma'am, I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
I do.
Your name and address, please?
Mary Storella, 181 Green Village Road, Madison, New Jersey.
Thank you. Could you spell your last name, please?
Storella.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mary. Could you just tell the board, just give the board a little bit of background on who you are and what IBX and Sampled, what they are?
Sure. I apologize for my voice. I seem to have lost my voice as the day's gone on. So Sampled is really what we are as a next generation laboratory. We support most, if not all, of the large pharma industry throughout New Jersey and the country, helping them to conduct preclinical and clinical research to develop drugs. We do largely genetics and genomics testing on biospecimens or samples, so tissue samples. We store those tissue samples at 30 Knightsbridge in one of the largest biorepositories, so places where you store biosamples or tissue samples in the world. And then we do corollary analytical laboratory services, largely consisting of genetics and genomics services on those samples, and in connection with other services we're asked to provide from our whole host of clients, which are range from the federal government to large pharma to biotech startups.
Perfect. And you right now, you are leasing some space at 30 Knightsbridge, and the owner of the property, we spoke to them and they've consented to this application, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the equipment that we're going to be putting on the roof, that's directly associated with the lab that's being fitted out currently.
That's exactly right. We're building a new state-of-the-art laboratory on one of the floors in the space that we lease, and this equipment is necessary for the operation of that laboratory.
Right. And I think, I don't know if I heard you said it, you originally, Sampled originally started as a project in the Rutgers, and you're currently moving slowly, but moving out of the Rutgers space and bringing all of your equipment and expertise over to Piscataway at the 30 Knightsbridge location, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We used to be a laboratory that operated and was owned by Rutgers University. It was spun out in August of 2020, and we still largely operate throughout the Rutgers campus. And in the second quarter of next year, we'll be moving all of our laboratory operations that are scattered throughout Rutgers and consolidating them in that new state-of-the-art laboratory in the building, for which we need the mechanical on top of the building in order to support.
Perfect. I don't have any other further questions of Mary. I don't know if anyone from the board had any questions.
Do any members of the board have any comments or questions for this witness? You can put on your next witness. Sir.
I just have one question.
Sorry, John.
Mr. Chairman. The
Please.
equipment on the top, does that have an exhaust to it or is it some other type of function?
Yeah, the next witness will talk a little bit more about the type of equipment, but yes.
What it does? Okay.
Yeah, it is an exhaust system, part of it.
Is this similar to a clean room? Is that the type of lab we're talking about?
Okay.
No, it's not a clean room, but there needs to be, it's not exactly a clean room, but it needs to be set up in certain areas of the laboratory to have special pressures to make sure that there's contaminants out of certain areas so that samples that we're working on aren't contaminated by other samples that we're working on in the same area.
Okay.
And the storage of the samples, Mary, what temperature are they stored at?
We store samples at a whole variety of temperatures, but we store samples as low as negative 196 degrees. So it's a whole host of different temperatures that we store.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Butler, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mary. My next witness is our architect, Patrick. I see him there. I guess we just swear him in and then I'll qualify him.
Could you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth.
I do.
Your name and address, please.
Predrag Petric, 30 Prospect Avenue, Basking Ridge, New Jersey.
Thank you. Could you spell your last name, please?
Petric.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Petrick. If you could you just provide the board with some of your qualifications, your education, your background, your New Jersey license?
Sure. I'm New Jersey licensed architect. I also hold a license in Pennsylvania, in New York. I'm NCAP certified, and I work for Mancini Duffy Architects in capacity of associate senior project manager. I graduated in 1999, School of Architecture, Belgrade University. I'm in construction and architectural business for over 20 years, serving as a registered architect for 11 years. And
I think the board is happy with your qualifications, Mr. Frederick. You can proceed.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to share our screen to show some exhibits. I don't know, Patrick, if do you want me to share or do you want to share? Oh, he's sharing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sharing right now.
All right, and just for the record, do we mark these as Exhibit 1 or do we mark it as Exhibit A1? I just want to be consistent.
This was part of your submission, your application package, so it's already part of the record and does not need to be separately marked.
Okay, great, perfect. Yeah, I wasn't sure because we picked it up and put it on its own exhibit, but if
Yeah, so we pull this as an exit from the application. Exhibit 1 basically shows location map where the building is situated, south east from Interstate 287, northwest from Route 18 along Knightsbridge Road. And on this exhibit 2, basically this is the enlarged location map. It's a site plan present this map showing the subject site and building location in relation to surroundings. As you can see on this map, on one side of the property we have a residential development with the buffer zone of trees. Then on the other two sides we have parking lots and commercial properties with the solar coverings, and entire property is hidden behind this wooden buffers. On this exhibit, you can also see approximate distance from the Knightsbridge Road and from the other properties. Subject property is situated on flat terrain and essentially located.
And could you just, it may be a little small for the board, can you just go through some of the distances from the building to the surrounding property lines?
Yeah, sure. So to the buffer zone with the trees to the residential, it's approximately 453 feet, as you can see on this exhibit. To the property on the northwest end is like 400 feet. To Knightsbridge Road, it's 255, and to Erickson Drive, it's 626 feet.
Perfect, thank you. And it is an existing building that's been there for probably at least 30 years now.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. There's also another thing, and I forgot to mention this before. What zone is the zoning districts is the property located in?
This is a light industrial 5 zone. Actually, property is laying on 2 different zones, BP1 zone and LI5 zone. You will see this dashed line, a green dashed line, actually give us an approximation how property lays in terms of the zone use.
Perfect, thank you. And all of the work that's being proposed is located within the LI5 light industrial.
That is correct. That is correct. And I would like to go on the next slide. It's basically from our application, which shows surrounding area, views from the streets. It's each of these pictures noted and enumerated on the site map that you can see on the screen. So what we are proposing to do is basically to add mechanical equipment. Precisely, that's the energy recovery unit that goes on the roof. We started with design, which was over 27 feet high. We reduced that to 14 feet 10, which is obviously about 2 feet taller than what ordinances allow us to do here. But unfortunately, we have to put this unit on a dunnage, and we have to have access of at least 2 feet underneath for the maintenance purposes.
Okay, so just to clarify, so originally when you first started looking at this equipment, it was much higher, but we brought it down to as close to the building deck as possible and still allow for maintenance and the proper footings to be put in.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a question before from Mr. Chadwick about the actual equipment. Can you just explain quickly about what the equipment will be doing?
So this is the energy recovery unit. Basically, the energy from build up from the laboratories will be recovered through this unit and reused in the building. So basically, we are lowering the impact to the environment. As a matter of fact, there is no impact on the surrounding. It's really environmentally friendly system, it's necessary for operation of this laboratory. This equipment will be screened with mechanical equipment will be screened. You can see building elevation here and angles, position of the, from the sidewalks, what they can see actually on the building. And you can see that it's not going to be even visible from that distance.
Okay, can you scroll back up a little bit to the shot down, the top down shot? Generally, how far away from the edge of the property will the equipment be? I see a number there, but I even with my glasses, I can't read it. If you know.
On the edges of the building will be about 95 feet from the Nicebridge Road is going to be over 300 feet.
Okay, so approximately 95 feet, a little over from the edge of the the edge of the building. I apologize.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. And you had stated before that the height of the proposed height of the equipment would be 14
feet 10
inches.
Mm-hmm.
And that the code, there's a little quirk in the township's land use code where 12 feet would be permitted. We're over 12 feet by 2 feet 10 inches, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you stated just before that, I thought this is pretty cool. Part of the equipment up there, it's actually an energy recovery unit that captures the heat and recirculates it back down as energy for the lab.
Yeah.
And then another part of it would be venting, the venting systems. And you also
we have a series of exhausts here, which function in a way that dilute the air that is coming, excess air that is coming out from these units.
Perfect. And then you also had said that the unit would be screened.
That is correct.
And there was a question from, I think it was from Henry, about would the screening blend in architecturally with the colors of the buildings? I know that a final vendor for the screening is not yet set, but obviously the screening, it would blend in with the building. It wouldn't stick out. We're not going to put pink screening around it or anything like that. It would blend in or match.
That is correct. And you can see on my screen, this is the type of the screen that will go around the unit. And our intention is to enclose this unit and connect visually overall architectural form of the building with proposed addition on this roof, this mechanical equipment.
Perfect. And just for the record, maybe we should mark that as Exhibit A1.
Yes, I don't recall seeing that one before. So A1 with today's date, please.
Yep. So it would be the screening, I guess, screening example. A1.
Visual screen example. Yep.
Okay. And
I think another question was about the noise of these units. So I have a table here I can share with you. Basically, show you this sound pressure level at certain distance. As we know, the ordinance is written to maximum 65 decibels, and at the 50 feet from the unit, we are at 60 feet, and we have to the Nicebridge Road, we have over 300 feet.
Perfect. And just for the record, again, we should probably mark this as A2. I guess we would call it sound exhibit or sound power levels. And just to dig in a little bit on this exhibit, at 50 feet, it would be 65. If you were standing 50 feet away, it would be a 65 decibel level. I'm reading that correctly.
That is correct. And as we discussed before, we have from the unit to the edge of the building over 95 feet.
And does this chart take into effect the fact that there will be screening around the?
No, this is without screen.
Perfect. Okay, so even
better.
Yeah, without screening at the edge of the building, you're looking at a 58, if I'm reading that correctly.
That is correct.
Okay.
That chart reflects without screening?
Without screening. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask a quick question, Mr. Butler?
Sure.
Do we know if these numbers are within the township's ordinance in terms of decibels, what's acceptable?
They are.
They are. That was you, John?
Our ordinance reflects state statute and that these numbers conform.
Thank you, sir.
They
Yeah,
conform,
it
really.
would be 65 at the property line.
That is correct.
And then there was a question, I think it may have been from Mr. Chadwick about illumination. Is there any proposed lighting that would be associated with the equipment?
We are anticipating only LED lights that will serve the maintenance purpose. It's not going to be visible from the outside.
Okay, so it would be behind the screen also?
That is correct.
Okay, so no light beacons in the air,
No, no,
blinking
no,
lights, everything would
absolutely
be
not.
behind the screen.
Are they on all the time or just when they have to go up there?
I'm sorry, can you repeat, please?
Are they on all the time or just when they have to go up?
This is something that can be managed to go on only when unit is in service.
I think that would be preferable, wouldn't it?
Okay.
That denser, so a lot of them just look with opportunity. So
Yeah, I would, the only thing I would add, Mr. Chadwick, is if it needs to be on, and I don't know this for a fact, I just don't, if there needs to be on for any type of, safety reasons, obviously it would,
Agreed.
the light would have to be on.
Agreed.
But,
I mean, to me, the only people who are gonna see this are long distances away. And the noise obviously has no impact, but the lights just up there, who knows?
Yep, agreed. Agreed. And Mr. And Patrick, is there any impact on the stormwater management for the building associated with the equipment being on the roof?
No.
Okay. And I'm just asking the question. I think it's an obvious question. There's no impact on parking or landscaping or traffic circulation on the property.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that I have for this witness.
Okay. Any other members of the board have any questions for this witness? Any comments on his testimony?
Just quickly, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is this equipment operated 24/7? Is the lab in operation 24/7? Or is it more typical business hours and then the equipment basically is, running sort of congruent with the hours of operation?
Michael, would you like to answer this?
I would defer to, if Mary's still on, I would defer to Mary, but
Sure.
it's my understanding that it would be running, at least the air handlers would be running 24 hours a day because those are associated with the refrigeration equipment for the samples. And obviously that has to run so that the samples stay at the temperatures that they need to stay at.
Yeah, Mike is exactly correct. The lab doesn't operate 24/7. We operate typically with normal business hours, with some weekend work for certain very specific analytical work that has to be done very quickly. But we do need, because we're storing samples 24/7, we do need those to be operational for purposes of all the storage equipment.
Thanks, Henry. You can proceed, Mr. Butler.
I have one other question, Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman.
John.
The architect mentioned that you pushed it down as far as you could in order to make the variance as small as possible. Did you make it so it's going to be difficult to service? And if you did, I mean, to me, you're in the middle of the building. You're almost half a football field for everything, or more than that. If you
Well, we.
4 inches, it might be, make sense to ask for it now.
Well.
Or you feel comfortable with the 2 feet clear?
Based on conversation we had with our engineer and, preparing this application and design for this equipment, 2 feet is sufficient for them.
Okay.
To operate.
Thank you, John. Mr. Butler, the ball's in your court.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, I'm going to move on to my next witness, James Kyle. I saw him on before. Oh, there he is.
Mr. Kyle, could you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
I do.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kyle has appeared before this board as a professional planner on a number of prior occasions.
I agree. Please proceed, Mr. Butler.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Kyle. I'm not going to ask a lot of questions. I'm just going to let you do your testimony. Can you please, talk to the board about the how the application meets the standards for the variance requests that we're asking for?
Sure, and I think we've sufficiently described the property and what's there and the zoning and all that, so I'll just skip right to the good part, which is the reason we're here, the D6 height variance. So this is a little bit different than a typical D1. The standard is, I'll say, relaxed from a legal perspective, and really the case that we're focusing on with a D6 height variance is one called Grasso v. Borough of Spring Lake Heights, and that was an appellate division case where the court said that the board should use a test similar to the Coventry Square v. Westwood for a D3 conditional use variance. And it's not the heightened standard that we have with D1, where we have to make the Medici enhanced quality approved. Essentially, the board has to be satisfied that the increase in height that we're seeking here, which is more than 10 feet or 10% above that permitted, which is 50, doesn't offend the purpose of the height restriction in the first place. And the court in Grasso noted that's mainly adequate light, air, and that the increase won't have a substantial impact on adjacent properties, and that it's reconcilable with the governing body's intent behind imposing that height limitation in the first place. So in terms of the positive criteria, I think there is a purpose of zoning or the municipal land use law promoted here. That's purpose A, to promote the general welfare. As we heard, the increase in height allows for the installation of equipment that services the lab below. And as we also heard, Sample provides important services to a variety of businesses which are in the healthcare space. So this really helps provide for advances in healthcare, and that's a public welfare benefit. Grant of the variance in this case doesn't offend the purpose of the restriction, mainly because of the proposed location of the equipment. As our architect testified to, this is well in from the roof edge. That's going to really limit visibility from the ground immediately surrounding the buildings. And we have significant distance from most of the property lines. And as you've seen from the aerial, a lot of the perimeter of the property is well vegetated. So even in a leaf off condition, I did go out to the property. I drove around all sides of it. I did go back into the residential neighborhood that's to our west, and also on Blueberry Court, just seeing what I could see. There's buildings that are intervening in a lot of those views. And then we also have significant vegetation there that even in a leaf off condition does provide screening. We're also going to screen the installation so the bare equipment won't be visible. We'll have, an architecturally appropriate screen that'll wrap this so the equipment won't be visible and it'll be more of an architectural feature. In terms of the negative criteria, I believe this can be granted without substantial impact to surrounding properties. As noted, the equipment's in the middle of the roof. That's going to help reduce visibility. We have buildings that intervene, and really the focus of my assessment of this was to look at the residential properties to the west. So I just want to pull up really quickly. So this was the exhibit that our architect used. So you can see we have about 453 feet to the building edge here from the west. This property that's to the southwest, that did go on the DEP GeoWeb. Most of this is wetlands, so this forested area should remain intact. There's also a tributary to Ambrose Brook that runs off of this property along the boundary, and I'll call it the northwest corner. So a lot of these trees are here because there's a stream corridor there. And those trees, along with those that are located immediately west of this existing building, there's some large evergreens that are immediately to the west of this building, which is just to the west of Building 3. So that's going to do a pretty good job of hiding this in conjunction with the screening that we're also proposing. So for those houses to the west, my assessment was that visibility will be pretty limited. And then the screening, as I said, will look more like an architectural treatment than, than anything else. And it will be consistent with the building. So based on the limited visibility that we have of this facility, the distances, overall, I don't think there'll be any substantial impact to adjacent properties. And really, that's the easiest way to reconcile the grant of this relief and the governing body's intent behind the 50-foot standard. Substantial screening, substantial distance from properties, and the use of screening panels is really going to address that intent. So I don't think there's any substantial impairment to the intent of the standard as well. Mr. Chairman, that's all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Any members of the board have any questions for the planner?
No.
None? Okay. Mr. Butler,
I have a question.
Sure, please, Steve.
Yeah, since this is we've had many fire calls over 39th Bridge. Obviously nothing on the roof. There's nothing up there. Do we know if there's any kind of fire suppression piping up there? Because we're not gonna be able to hit this with a ladder. The ladder's not gonna be long enough. So we'd have to pull hoses up the stairwells to hit it, but we need to know whether we have fire suppression piping up there.
I don't know if there is. Jim, can you go back to your the exhibit that you just had up? I don't know if you can scroll down. I think that, could you just zoom in a little bit?
On this, Mike?
No, I was looking at the one with the actual picture, the satellite overview.
Oh.
From the top. Yep, there you go. I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't know the answer 100% to the question, and we can figure that out if that's a question. I don't believe that there is any fire suppression equipment up on the roof, but I would defer to Pedrick if he was aware of anything.
No, I don't believe that there's any kind of fire suppression system up there. This can be addressed in a further design as we proceed with the construction documentation, and we can answer that question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other members of the board have any questions? Mr. Butler, you can close it up if you like.
Sure. I have no further witnesses tonight. I don't know. Do you open to the public, or do you?
Yeah, we do. But I'd let you have your final words before we do that.
Okay. So I would hope that the board would look favorably on our application, as was explained by Mr. Kyle and my other witnesses, basically, and Mr. Chadwick. This equipment that's going on the roof is really going to be very difficult to see from any vantage point, and it's very, very far away from any type of border. I think Mr. Chadwick said it's almost half a football field away from one of the borders. So it's going to be very difficult to see, and the equipment is needed for the use and the reuse of the building as office space. And as you heard Mr. Kyle say, it meets all the standards for granting the D6 variance. So I would ask for the board to grant the variance request.
Thank you. Again, no other members have any questions on this. I'm going to open it to the public. Anyone in the public have any questions or comments at this time about this application?
No one, Chairman.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public portion. I believe that the applicant has met the two areas of criteria that I was concerned about. The visibility, I believe you've satisfied with the amount of distance that I think the site is from residents and whatnot. My main concern was the sound, and with Mr. Chadwick jumping in and the testimony provided by Mr. Petrick about the decibel levels being beyond adequate, I'd make a motion to approve this application.
Mr. Cahill, just before we go ahead and do that, I just wanted, there was a couple things in my report that really.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We touched on them, but I just want to make sure that the applicant's clear what I think we would be requiring, and that is that, we'd like to see just, with the submittal for the building permit, some catalog cut and a little bit more detail on the equipment screening, so we could just confirm that the color is acceptable and that the type of screening, if you don't stay with the type that you've proposed on the architectural plans, changes, that we're okay with that. The other condition would be is that, again, you previously had another application come before this board for a nitrogen tank not too long ago. There were some conditions imposed on that application, and those conditions, which I'm pretty sure and I understand are almost have been all resolved, they would be piggybacked onto this application as well. So we'd be able to permit this application until those conditions are also met. So they would sort of, I think, have to be piggybacked onto this application so that we can get those resolved and a resolution compliance prior to permitting.
And
Thank you, Henry.
Both of those are acceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Well, based on what Henry just said, I can further reiterate the point that I'd like to approve this application based on the added conditions that Henry just threw in.
I'll second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Blount,
Yes.
Mr. Hidaka,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Mr.
Great.
Butler, we will memorialize this at our next meeting and mail a copy to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you,
your time.
everyone. Have a
Thank you.
good
Good night,
evening.
gentlemen.
Okay.
Ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item number 15, which is the adoption of resolutions from the regular meeting of November 10th, 2022.
First resolution is Ann Malosha, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Reggio, Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Next is new singular on Ethel Road, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Next is new singular on Centennial Avenue, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Next is Safila Faizula, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Next is Chetna Bakshi, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
And last is the Francis Parker extension of time, which you voted to grant. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
That's all that I have for this evening.
Okay, item number 16, adoption of the minutes from the regular meeting of November 10th, 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item number 17, notice of adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Once again, people, thank you for coming out and dedicating your time to the betterment of Piscataway Township. Take care. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, right? We're not going to see each other.
Yep.
No,
Happy
we will not.
holidays, happy New
Happy
Year.
holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays to everybody. God bless you all.
I'll see you tomorrow, Santa.
Yeah. Don't blow my cover.
Nice.
Good night,
Henry, I'll
guys.
see you Monday.
All
You
right.
got it. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.